meals were mine. We played hide and seek for hours. Raised our
friends, welcome back to the homestead in my kitchen. If being sick these last 2 weeks has taught me anything, it's that I need some more freezer meals for us. We went through a lot of my canned meals. We are completely out of canned chicken. We are completely out of canned beef. We are down quite a bit with soup. We've got a little bit left, but not as much as I would like to have. So that is something I'm going to be planning doing in the coming weeks. But there's some things that we like to have, especially this time of year, that I cannot necessarily can. And being sick these last few weeks showed me, oh boy, we need some freezer meals in the freezer. Like I said, we did eat a lot of the canned food I had, but we also ate out a few more times than I, quite frankly, would like to admit. I'm still not 100%, but I'm about 90. It just seems to be lingering. Very, very tired easily. That part, that's very frustrating. But I'm gonna power through, and I'm going to get through these next few days of filming so I can keep myself accountable and get these done. This is something I've been planning for weeks, and I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And then I got sick and I realized, boy, having some freezer meals for breakfast, lunch, and supper sure would have come in handy during these last couple of weeks. So that's what we're going to be doing all this week. Today we're going to be focusing on some breakfast things. Breakfast is one of those weird things for us because David works through the week, so I don't make anybody breakfast except for myself. And I've been tending to not eat anything because I'm either sick of yogurt or I'm sick of like an English muffin. I'm sick of it. And then being sick, I just did not have the energy to really make anything. I drank a lot of tea, but I didn't eat a lot of things. And that can kind of lead to not doing great healthy snacking and things. So yeah, we definitely need to get some breakfast things into the freezer. And I have a couple of things I want to focus on today. One thing I'm still waiting to show up from Amazon that I need to do one of these. And if that doesn't show up in time today, I will just quickly do it in the morning so I can get these all done that I have on my list today. And we'll just continue this tomorrow. First, I decided I'd like to have some bacon already cooked and ready to go. It's one of those things that we like not just for breakfast, but to have in a sandwich. There's lots of things you can do. A snack, just to have it ready. And I always say I'm going to cook up a bunch of bacon and just freeze it. Well, today is the day. I've already got one package all cooked up. Not that the packages are big as they used to be. They're not even half a pound anymore. They're like 375 grams. That is definitely less than half a pound. But yes, I've got some cooked up already. I'm going to get my second package, and I'm just going to do the 2 packages today. I'm going to get my second package going, and I'm just going to bake it in the oven. I find this is the easiest way. I have done it in the air fryer too, when I've just wanted to do a couple pieces. That works great, and it's easier to save the grease too, because you can just pour it out of your basket. But yeah, so I have my oven, 425. I cook this anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes aside, depending on, I like it a little crispier. David's not a fan of having it too crispy. He likes it to just where the fat is all rendered, and then that's it. He doesn't want it crispy. I think crispy bacon is the only way to have bacon, but so we're just going to get this cooked up. I also have some butter melting here too on the stove. That is going to be for the next recipe, or the first, I guess, recipe, because this really isn't a recipe. This is just putting bacon on a cookie sheet. Okay, I'm going to get that in the oven, clean up a little bit, and then we'll start our first official recipe. The first recipe we're going to make is sheet cake pancakes, and I already have some butter in my dish that I'm going to be using today to put these in. This is the easiest way to make pancakes. I discovered it a few years ago, and it really, really is easy. And what's great is if you're making pancakes for different people, everyone can have their own kind. Blueberry, chocolate chip, strawberry, pecans, whatever you want. You get to do, you could put, you can divide them up into sections and put topping on each one and bake them. These are all going to be blueberry. The kids really don't eat pancakes much anymore, so it's just David and I. And I hate standing at the stove and cooking pancakes because everybody else is done eating by the time I sit down to eat. So this is one of the reasons I liked doing the sheet cake pancakes. When the kids were eating pancakes when they were little, this is how I would do it. But Dave and I still like them. And this way I can bake them. I'm not even going to cut them into, well, I don't know. We'll see. I might cut them into squares once they've cooled down and freeze them into individual packets. or I might just leave them in the pan, let it cool, wrap it up in plastic wrap, and freeze the whole thing, and then we can come out and cut them when they thaw. And because more than likely we would eat these probably 2 mornings, so we could just have some one morning and some the next. So that's probably what I'm gonna do, so then I don't have to use a whole bunch of containers to freeze a bunch of pancakes. Anyway, I said they're blueberry, so we're gonna be making blueberry. So I have a large bowl here, and I'm just keeping an eye on my timer. My bacon is about to go off here in a couple of minutes. I don't know if I'll even get to start. I'm gonna go just check on the bacon and we'll be right back. I flipped the bacon, so we're gonna do 2 cups of flour. A 1/4 cup of sugar. Some salt. I'm just going to do a good pinch. So I'm just going to give that a stir. Okay, and then we're going to add 1½ cups of milk. You could make this dairy-free too and use any milk that you wanted. 2 large eggs. 4 tablespoons of melted butter. 2. Just going to stir this up so the hot butter, it's cooled down a bit, but I still don't want to take the chance of cooking those eggs on me. 3, 4. Now, this doesn't take long to come together, so I mean, some of you might be thinking, wow, that doesn't take long, why you bother freezing it? It's just so, I'm busy right now this time of year. I'm crocheting a lot for different markets and things that I'm going to be selling, and it's okay to be a stay-at-home mom or wife and have some convenience things. It's okay. I always felt guilty having these things ahead of time because I'm like, I'm home all day. It's not like I have to rush home and from work and try and get a meal on the table. But I've learned it's okay, even as a stay-at-home mom, to have some things convenient and ready, because there are other things I do throughout the day. And this is nice, you know, and it frees me up if I want to make some bread. I'm not having to worry about maybe supper that night. It just frees me up and has things ready, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if it keeps me from having bad eating habits, I absolutely am going to do my best to have things ready ahead of time. I'm going to add my blueberries to it. You can just sprinkle them on top if you want, but because I know they're all going to be blueberry, I'm going to add them. And it's about 1 cup. These are pretty much thawed out. There's just a few frozen. Whoop. We got one more in there. Okay, I'm going to pour this into my dish, lower the temperature for my oven to 350, and cook them for 15-20 minutes or until a toothpick comes in clean. I forgot something. I was wondering about that. I forgot to add a tablespoon of baking powder. So I'm going to do that right now and just mix it in. Okay, my tablespoon's dirty, so we'll do 3 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3. Mix that up real quick. There we go. Bacon's done. Pancakes are in the oven. And maybe by the time they're done, Amazon will have arrived with what I need. If not, we will have to wait until either later today or even tomorrow morning. We'll see. I really want to get it done today, so I think even if it's in the evening, I'm going to go ahead and still do it. Last piece. There. We'll let that cool completely, and then I'll divide it up into portions and put them in the freezer bag. And we have some bacon ready for a few breakfasts or even lunch or whatever we need bacon for in the next couple of weeks. Pancakes just came out of the oven. Bacon is done. Amazon has still not shown up. And I can't track it because apparently they're down all across the world right now. Something happened and all kinds of things. But I thought I'd get out my sourdough starter because I want to get some more bread made this week also. Woo! And freeze that. You can tell that was sourdough. So this has been in the fridge for months. I just find I wasn't making it as much in the summer. So as you can see, there's this black liquid on it. That's called the hooch. Even with my stuffed up nose, I can smell it. It smells like alcohol. You can mix it in to your sourdough starter if you want, but I find it makes, I'm not a real one for real sour sourdough, which is why I like making my own. So I'm just gonna pour mine off right down into the sink. It's just a little discolored, but that will go away once we mix it up. So I'm just gonna let this sit on the stove because the stove is still warm from the pancakes. Let this warm up a bit. And then we will feed it and get that going and wait on Amazon, I guess. Amazon has not shown up. We have had supper. I've cleaned up from supper, waiting. It's 6 o'clock in the evening and they still have not come, even though it keeps saying it's arriving today. What is arriving? Well, it's supposed to be my apple peeler. My other one broke on me and we went apple picking and I've been processing a lot of apples and I still have a lot more to process. And it's a lot, peeling all of them. So I said, okay, I'll get a new one, and it has not shown up. I tried finding one in the stores. David went quite a few places yesterday looking for me. Nobody had one, so I'm going to have to hand peel them. Luckily, we're only going to be doing 8, so that's not too bad. So I really want to get these done so I can say I got what I wanted to get done today. But before we get started, oh, what am I making? I'm making apple crisp, and it's a new to me recipe that we're going to try. Apple crisp is one of our favorite things to eat. Everybody likes it, I think, in the house. And we often have it for breakfast. I personally love mine warmed up with a little bit of plain Greek yogurt on top. It is so good, so good. And the Greek yogurt adds some protein to it. So it's delicious. I love having it. I'm going to make 2 and we're going to freeze them. I don't know if I'm gonna do everything up into the baking part. And then I'm gonna write on the tin foil that I wrap it up in the instructions to bake it, but we'll at least get there. But before we make that, I do want to get my sourdough starter going again. So she's warmed up now, and I forgot something. When I was starting out with sourdough, I would measure everything, weigh everything. I kind of now know a little bit of what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take the majority of my old starter and get it into my sourdough starter jar. There are measurements on this jar. So that says I have 50, so I'm going to leave it at that. The rest of this I will put down my sink. It's really great for your septic. Gives it lots of healthy bacteria. And then I'm going to add the same amount of flour. And this is just all-purpose organic flour. I've tried it with several different ones, and this one seems to work the best for me. So I think we're at 50 flour. And this I will go by feel. I'll add a little bit, stir it. If it's too thick, I'll add a little more. No, it's still too thick. Just a little. So I want the consistency of like pancake batter. I think we're there. And then I make these. These are little toppers I put over to cover and protect it, but still allow some air to get at it. And we will leave it there, and hopefully this will be much, much higher tomorrow morning and we can make some bread with it. Okay, now we're ready to start on the apple crisp. This is a double batch that I'm making too, so this is all the ingredients have already doubled. So we need 8 cups of apples. I'm going to say roughly that is about a cup. These apples are monstrous. Like, they're just really big. They're Cortland's, which I find is a great baking apple. I'm going to get these all peeled up, cored, slice, put into a jar here, set aside, and then we'll get started on the topping. Switch out bowls and get a bigger bowl, and it took a little longer than I thought. Again, I wish I had that peeler. It goes quicker, but anyway, stop complaining, Lynn. We're now going to make our topping, and I forgot to mention this recipe is from All Recipes. They're one of my favorite go-tos online. They really do have great recipes. Okay, so we need 2 cups of flour. This is going to be our topping. 1, 2. And I'm not following this exactly, I know, shocker, but they actually don't use a topping. They put some of it on the bottom and then the rest on top. I'm not a fan of that, so this will all be going on top. 2 cups of brown sugar, and I just made a batch of brown sugar while I was waiting for Amazon to come. So we're going to want 2 cups of that. 1, 2. I mean, it's pretty similar to my recipe that I always use, that I've been using forever, but there's one step that I don't usually do, and that's kind of what intrigued me. And this is called chewy topping apple crisp, which is what I prefer. I love the chewy topping. I don't like a dry, hard, crispy topping. 1.5 cups of oats. So I'm going to use up this bag first, and then I have some in my container here. That's a 1/2 cup. Okay. So half. One. Almost enough. I I just wiped. Died. I had a feeling it was going to. I think they're going. The batteries aren't lasting as long as they used to. So I just finished putting in the 1.5 cups of oats. I think that's where we were when it cut off. And I'm melting 1 cup of unsalted butter right now. And I think we have to add the cinnamon to the topping too. And cinnamon, yes. So the recipe calls for, what do they say? 2 teaspoons. I say we're gonna do probably 1 or 2 tablespoons. Butter's all melted for the most part. Give this a good stirring. So we got our topping all mixed up. We set it aside. And now we're gonna get started on, I guess, a slurry. This is a part that I don't usually do, so we're gonna try it. So I have 1 cup of water in here, and I'm adding 1 cup of organic cane sugar. These Cortlands are not a really sweet apple, so I don't mind adding a little bit more sugar. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and we're gonna get this on a stove and bring it to boil, I believe, until it's thick and clear. About 10 minutes, and then we're going to pour them over the apples. I hope I have enough space for that. Okay, was it 2 tablespoons I said? Yeah, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So 1 and 2. So my slurry is not going to look clear because I used organic cane sugar. But if you use the white sugar like the recipe calls for, it will be clearer. And yes, I changed out bowls again because I knew I would not have enough room to stir that. I'm just going to give that a minute to absorb into some of the apples. And I am going to get out something to scoop these apples with. So I just picked these up at the dollar store to put into the freezer. I'm thinking I might have enough for 3. That's 4 cups. I was recording and I wasn't. So the liquid that I had left in the bowl, I just spread it out amongst these ones. And yeah, so I got 3 and I am not unhappy about that. I'm glad I bought a couple of those packs of these containers. Okay. And we're just gonna pile our topping up. I might have too much topping because, like I said, they say to put it on the bottom, which, like I mentioned, I'm not a fan of, but I will freeze any of this topping for another apple crisp. Or if I make apple muffins, that would make a great topping too for them. I am going to let this cool just for a few minutes. It's not real hot, but just to make sure. And then I will wrap them up, and I'll write right on the tin foil, 350-degree oven, and bake for 30 to 40 minutes. Sorry if you hear the washing machine going. I have a little laundry going. I'm behind on a lot of things with the house being sick and everything, and trying to get caught up on laundry and giving the house a nice good, I always love to give a nice good deep clean to the house in the fall, especially before we start decorating for Christmas. So Grace and I have been taking 1 room a day together. She's been helping me, big help, and we've been cleaning a room. I started doing this. I started on our laundry room slash, we used to call it the pantry. There's no food in there. There's a lot of my baking pans and things like that are in there. And friends, it looks amazing. I am so happy. I wiped down the walls. We washed the floors. I cleaned out the washing machine and dryer. I organized all my shelving in there with all the kitchen appliances and baking sheets and stuff. And I gave away 2 boxes of things to the thrift store for in there so far. This week, we filled 2 boxes so far. Okay, look at that. I had enough topping for 3, so that was perfect. We have some blueberry pancakes, 4 servings of bacon, and 3 apple crisp, all ready for the freezer and to make my life a little bit easier. This is by no means all of it, but this is just a start. These are going to come in so handy over the next few weeks. I am going to be so grateful to Now Me in the future for finally getting off my duff and getting these into the freezer. That's it, friends. Thanks for coming along with me while we made some freezer breakfast meals to get into our freezer. In our next video this week, we're going to be tackling supper with maybe 1 or 2 new recipes. Until then, take care, God bless, and we'll see y'all soon.